Yeah, it's recording.
Okay. Alrighty, we're good.
Alright.
Okay.
Get out of here. Shiloh.
Alright.
Alright.
You don't want to be on video.
Okay. You need to state your name, place of birth, branch of service, your rank, and the length of service. So, you know.
I can't remember all that. My name's Randall Jones. My rank was E5. I was a machinist mate second class. Okay, give me the next question.
Okay. How long did you serve?
I served from September of 1971 through March of 1974.
Were you drafted or did you volunteer?
I enlisted.
Okay. And where was your training conducted at?
I was attached to a unit in Johnstown at first, the U.S. Naval Reserve Center, Johnstown, and then was transferred to boot camp at Great Lakes, Illinois. Went through boot camp from September through December, and went from January through May of that year to engineering school, machinist make school in Great Lakes.
Can you tell us anything about like boot camp and like what you were instructed to do and stuff?
Boot camp is just basic training. Every person had to know how to swim. If you didn't know how to swim, they taught you how to swim. You had to go through military training, learn how to use weapons, learn basic seamanship, since we were in the Navy. General conduct, military conduct was formed in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Was taught to follow orders. We were taught to march and everything else that associated with you typically think of boot camp.
All right. Like what were you specifically trained to do?
My specific training was engineering. I was a machinist mate. I worked with steam propulsion and worked with electric generators, the manufacture of electricity for the ship, the main engines that ran the ship, things like that.
Okay. And how long did you spend in Vietnam?
I was in Vietnam for approximately 6 months.
And what did you do while you were there?
I was attached to the ship USS Blakely, which we did what was called SAR, Search and Rescue. Our job was to go pick up downed pilots that were shot down, whether they were shot down in North or South Vietnam or they were out at sea. Their job was to get to the beach. My job was to go in a small boat and pick them up.
Can you tell us like a little more like in depth about how it went or like any procedures you used?
Procedure was we had a 6-man rubber raft with a 15 horse Johnson outboard motor on it, and we would go in full combat gear and try to pick up any pilot that was shot down, whether it be in North Vietnam or South Vietnam, and would be responsible for trying to get the pilot out to the ship. At that time, pilots just carried a locator beacon. It was a radio signal. That was all we had, not the GPS and all that they carry today in their helmets and all. But their job was to get as close to the beach as they could. Our job was to get in and try to rescue them before they were captured or killed.
All right. Like, did you hear any enemy propaganda?
Yes, we used to listen to, I think it was called Hanoi Jane once in a while, and she would always talk about how many Americans were killed and how many, how many losses we were suffering and combat problems we were having and things like that, and how victorious they were, things like that.
Did it like hurt like morale or anything?
No, I don't think we kind of laughed about her.
Did you know how to swim when you first went there?
Yes, I knew how to swim and all that. It was, in fact, I swam in a swim team for my unit.
Did you actually see any combat?
Yes, I saw quite a bit of combat.
Do you care to comment on it or?
It was pretty tough. We had to fight a few times. I'm pretty lucky to be here today. My ship was shot upon a few times. And when the little rubber boat, we were small. Would take a lot of small arms fire. So.
Were there any casualties in your unit?
A couple guys got wounded in combat, but and my ship itself was not harmed in any way. I mean, we didn't take any, a lot of ships were hit, but we were lucky we were never hit.
Can you tell us like what the military food was like?
Food in the Navy was very good compared to Army and when you were on land. But we had very pretty good food. You know, we have lobster and steak probably once a week, and we ate real good on a ship compared to what military people were eating
Army and
on
stuff.
land. And Army people, yeah.
Well, considering you might have had a little bit of time on your hands now and then, like what do you guys do to entertain yourselves?
When we were on the ship, it was pretty nice because you had a movie every night, and they would helo in movies for us. Once a week, they would bring in a whole week load of movies. Some outdated stuff, but some pretty up-to-date stuff at that time. We had music. Most of us had, it was before the stereos like kids grew up with today, but we had our own private stereos set up in different places on the ship, and we listened to music. We only had TV when we were in a port, but there was TVs, things like that.
What did you think about like, your officers and fellow soldiers?
The officers that I served with on my small craft he was outstanding. He was Lieutenant Martinez. He was a very good officer, very good leader. I mean, he got us out of a lot of jams. The guys in my unit, the 6 of us in the boat, they were fantastic guys. Because if it wouldn't be for each of us doing our job, none of us would have been here today. So.
Like, what did you think of the enemy? Did you like, you know?
We hated them. I mean, it's just part of combat. They were doing atrocities, and we knew it because we saw it, and so it was not. You didn't like your enemy.
Were you aware of the domestic U.S. opposition to the war?
Yes, it was.
Like, what was your reaction to it?
Well, it was very hard to be fighting over there and knowing people here were against the war, having demonstrations against the war, and things like that we were seeing on the news and all, because we were seeing news.
How did you feel about the conduct of the war by the leadership of our country?
No, I think the leaders, some of the military leaders, deceived the American public in believing that we were actually winning a war when we were really not putting forth enough effort to win the war. I think we've learned many lessons from that, up to including today. Now we definitely win with enough force to win a war.
Would you say that you guys were like undermanned, or like you didn't have enough equipment during the war, or?
No, not where I was. We were equipped as well as we could have been at that time with the kinds of weapons we were using at that time. I don't think we lacked for anything we wanted or needed.
What was your reaction when you came home? Were you welcomed? Or?
No, we were not. In fact, a story I have is I came home the one time after Vietnam in full military gear. Of course, I wear my military ribbons, and I came through the Pittsburgh airport, and I was spit on by some people in the airport.
Do you keep in touch with any of your fellow veterans?
Not really. Not anybody that I served with. When I got out of the regular Navy I joined the Navy Reserve, and I still am in contact with some of the people I was in the Navy Reserve with.
Did you have you attended any reunions?
No, I've never heard of any reunion for the ship I was on.
What's your opinion of the government, what they have done for the Vietnam veterans?
Well, I think they've tried to make amends for how badly we were treated when we first got back. I think now I think we're honored a lot more, especially since the last 2 wars in Iraq. They have really tried to honor the Vietnam veterans.
Have you ever been to the Vietnam
No, I've never
Memorial?
been to the Vietnam Memorial. I don't think I'm ready to go there yet. I have friends that are on the wall that I knew over there, and I'm not ready yet to do that.
Did you start teaching like right after you got out of
No.
the service, or?
I worked for United States Steel right after I got out of service. Then I worked for Metropolitan Life and taught school, and then came down to Altoona here. After teaching in Portage for a year, I came down here. I've been teaching here ever since.
Do you think that being in the military changed your view on a lot of different things?
Oh, yeah. It gives me a different perspective when I watch the things that are going on in today's world. I see what's happening on TV with the military and enlisted people with the Abu Ghraib prison thing and all. I know that enlisted people don't do things that they are being accused of doing without somebody telling them to do something.
Is there anything like that you'd like to add that we missed?
I think you got it all.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And you're on TV.